Okay. All right, we are live, and we're going to get started here on Amazon in a second as well, hopefully. And it says ready to go live. And we are live in both places. So give me a second here, folks, to just get configured. And this is another production device that we're going to be looking at. This one claims to be an all-in-one production device. So it will support 4 inputs, and then it kind of does what OBS does, but it's all self-contained in the box. So I have a whole bunch of stuff that we're going to plug into it. So we've got 3 HDMI devices. I've got the Huddle Cam here. I have a Canon Pro camcorder here. And then I have a webcam because it has a USB webcam input, supposedly. And then we're going to hook up a Nintendo Switch to kind of demo, all 4 of these inputs going at the same time to see if it can handle that. That is the game plan here. And it's called the Yolobox Pro. And in full disclosure, this came in free of charge from them, but they're not compensating me for this evaluation. Michael Kidd is here, William Wilkinson is here, Romerick is here, the Node is here early for once, and Nigel is here from sunny but cold London Heathrow, and it's actually quite warm here in my home state of Connecticut across the pond today, so we are in good shape. So we've got a lot of stuff to unravel with this thing, not the least of which I think will involve probably a firmware update of some kind. So let's get unboxing, and we'll see where we go. It's 2 o'clock, at least 2 o'clock my time. I think for Nigel it's what, like 8 p.m. out there? So why don't we unbox this first and see what is inside. It's an interesting product to talk about because when you look at what a computer can do these days, oftentimes without a lot of expense, you begin to wonder, how viable will something like this be? But we will find out. And William says it's 1 p.m. where he is, which means that you are likely in, what, Central Time? If you're an hour behind me. All right, so it's got a screen protector here in the box, which you probably would need if you were out in the field. Oh, you know what I have to do also? I've got to copy some video files to an SD card, which I'll do in a few minutes. So this is the unit itself. It actually feels pretty hefty, like nicely constructed. So we have an SD card slot down here and a SIM card tray. Now this will work over a 4G network if you have a SIM card, but just one. So you might need something else if you need to kind of have a redundant output, a redundant network. You've got your 3 HDMIs. This USB is an input apparently. So you can plug a USB camcorder in. They said you can also get like an HDMI to USB converter there. Here's your gigabit. This is HDMI out. So if you had a different encoder, you could run that. And then there's a Type-C port here. I think this is going to allow, with a firmware update, for this to output as webcam to a computer. So if you had the computer streaming, it could do that without an adapter. And then you've got your mic in and out and your power right there. So I do want to go and load up some video onto an SD card because that's kind of a weird SD card. Oh, it must be just a holder. Because you can put video, you can actually play video as a recording on here too. And Watching My NAS wants to know, what business is this? Well, this is a live streaming video box, a self-contained video switcher and production device. And you can mount it apparently on a, they have like a little cold shoe mount here. So you can mount it on top of your camera. And the mount is on the top. So you would have your I'll give you the other view here. So you would have your stuff going in on the top of the camera, so it could work as like an on-camera monitor, but you'd be switching from it. So you might be, now wait a minute, there's no power adapter in the box. Am I missing something? No. There's no power adapter. So it looks like you've got to bring your own USB Type-C power adapter. Lucky for you, I've got my Apple one down here, so we're just going to plug that in and get this going. And Thomas Woodford is here. Hello there. And Trey is here. Is this more for field use than studio use? Yeah, I would say if you were in a studio, I have yet to find anything better than vMix at this point for studio work, if you have a good computer. So that's where I would go. Now we're going to begin with just getting the firmware updated on this thing. So I'm sure there needs to be an update before we do anything. So we're going to plug in Ethernet, and I'm going to turn it on and just see what kind of updates await us here. I'm assuming this button on the bottom here is the power button, I believe. Let's see. Hold it down. There it goes. All right, so we're going to let it boot up. And so this is like their deluxe version. They have a lower end one that you can also look for. DJ wants to know, how much is this? So I've got a link in the video description so you can check it out. This one's expensive. This is $1,300. What they make, though, is a lower end version that costs a little less, and it does most of what this does just with less inputs. But this is like their pro version. I got to select my time zone. So I'm going to have to look for New York. I guess they do it by the city here. So New York. There we go. And it does have a battery built in also. And I have to log in, but I don't have an account. So how do I make an account? So I'm guessing you have to go on first. I don't know. All right, give me a second here. Let me just get my email typed in here. And we'll get started with this. So I'm guessing that there's some kind of process here. All right, so it just sent me a code. This might be a real quick email, quick stream if I can't get into this thing. Okay, so I've got a, okay, so I can do the code here. All right, please, I have to do a password now, so I'm going to do a password. And it looks like it's running Android underneath. Okay, so now I've successfully signed up. I just have to log in with my password now, and then I'm in. All right. So that was a little confusing. And of course, here we go. We got our update. So we're going to do that real quick. This won't take very long. But it is powered by Android, is what it seems to be powered by. NC Strev is here from Maine. Carmine is here from New York City. And oh, it looks like I linked to both models. How about that? Perfect. Yeah, so if you go in and find into Amazon, you can find all the different models that are there. So I think I linked, I have the Pro on there. I think you can probably find it through the link. Rick B is here from Florida. Yeah, so it looks like, so maybe you can take in multiple webcams. All right, we'll try that. We'll see what we can get. The first thing I'll do after the firmware updates is get all of our stuff attached to it. And we'll see where we go. Hard to find, I'm trying to come that is unable to spell live or, yeah. Yeah, YOLO live. How about that? All right, now it's going to update the firmware. And then we'll get in. This stream might go for a while. We'll see what happens. All right, so we are going to update the firmware, and then we're going to hook all this stuff up to it. Webcams. I got webcams up the wazoo in this place. So we've got the Elgato face cam here. We have the Huddle Cam HD, which will connect over HDMI. And then we have the Nintendo Switch. And I have probably another webcam somewhere down here that I can add in for good measure if we need to. So we will see once this, this firmware update is done. Please do not do anything else during the system upgrade. I'm assuming that they're just talking about the device and not what I'm talking about here. And Sanskrit says, I've been on the fence on this for 6 months. I feel like it's $300 overpriced. Definitely makes setting up a live stream performance quick and easy. Yeah, so that's, I think, part of its allure, right? That it's kind of incorporating everything that you would do in a live stream, including adding some of the fancier features that you would get from something like a OBS computer or something, right? Like if you were to look at the cost of putting together a portable production, field production unit, this might be less than a comparable OBS setup, given that you've got more you have all the inputs, 3 or 4, maybe 5, we'll see. And we'll kind of take it from there. And yeah, it's definitely running Android, no question about it. So that's the underlying OS. And Bob is, we got Mark from Maryland is here, and we have Bob from Pittsfield. Thanks for joining the chat. All right, so I got to go find some more stuff to plug into this thing, I think. So I've got another webcam. Let's get this thing booted up. And what I'm also going to do while this is going is grab an SD card, and we'll put some media on an SD card. And I've got one here that might have some media on it already. So I found this SanDisk card here. And now I just need to find a card reader because I have a card reader underneath. Long story, my docking station for my Mac is actually underneath my desk. So, and it's got a card reader on the front of it. So I guess if I just stick it under the desk here, I could probably, there it goes. Okay, that's not too bad. All right, so let's see what is on this card. Do we have any video on here? Well, you know what I'll do is I'm going to copy some video onto it just so I have it. Yeah, so this card has a bunch of, where's the video file? Perfect. Okay, yep, I found, you know, the video is kind of blurry though, so you know what I might do? Give me 1 second here. I am going to, I got 7 gigs, so I'm just going to grab a video file from my NAS, so I have a couple. So we'll put 2 on here. Because I do have some videos that have been posted recently to the channel. Yeah, so we'll do this one, and we'll do this one. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. App upgrade, a new version of Yolobox. Oh, it's another update. So we're going to click install here again. This is like every other live stream that we do, right? There's always an update before we can do anything. This time it's asking me to wait patiently, so I will abide by its request, including not doing anything until it's done. All right. And Sanskrit says the lower price version doesn't have stereo audio, huh? I'm gonna have to dive into all these features here and figure out what is doing what on here. There's always compromises when you try to, like, because this is, when you think about all the compromises that have to be done here. Okay, slide down to adjust. This is like totally Android. You know, they went with Android for the operating system, right? And they went with enough components that they could put into it while still kind of meeting the price point, right? So we're going to do, I'm just looking to see what my options are here. I'm going to do the plus icon, And what's a monitor mode? A monitor mode just makes it a monitor. All right, so let's go out of this. Okay, so this is like to schedule the live stream. Let's just call it test. I'm not going to connect my stuff to it yet. Okay. Add video source. Okay, so let's start plugging in sources. And maybe we'll start with my Elgato face cam here. I have cables all over the place. Whoa, there, oh, it's already plugged in. Okay, so we're going to plug this in to the USB port on here. And let's see if that pops up. Because I don't know if this works or not. It says it's supposed to do that. So let's go to Add Video Source. I'm going to click on USB. I guess not. Doesn't like the face cam. All right, so while that's thinking, we're going to grab our Canon camera here. We'll get that added. I'll get its cable. I got a long cable on here in case I want to move it around. So we'll connect this up to HDMI 1. Okay, so that's connected. Let's see if we get something on there. Nope. Let's try that again. Oh, okay, that's coming in. So let's go to USB. Nothing. So I'm a little confused here as to how this is supposed to work. So we have the HDMI connected here from the camera. This I know works because I just did it the other day on my other thing. And it's just kind of spinning its wheels there. The USB is not getting detected with this camera. Let me try to plug it in again. And that is the right cable. Yeah, it's not even lighting up. There's like a blue light that's supposed to come on here. All right, so 2 strikes so far, but let's plug in the Huddle Cam here and see if that works. This has an HDMI output, but it also can output over USB. But let's do the HDMI and see what we get here. And I might just have to reboot it, I don't know. So we'll plug this in. All right, there we go. And let's see what we get, HDMI 2. Okay, so that one's coming through, but HDMI 1 is not. So let's move HDMI 1 to, and it doesn't really have the capacity to kind of keep up with it. Okay, so let's put it to 3 and see if that makes any difference. Now this camera is outputting, let's see, video source switching mode, click to switch. Okay, so that's not what we want there. Okay, so USB-C out is enabled. Video output mode, HDMI out, streaming mode. Oh, so they have a streaming service that you can connect to. But for some reason, it doesn't like this camera, but this is like a 1080i or 1080p output. There's no reason why it shouldn't, but let's go in and look at, I'll go through the settings here. Yeah, so it's going out at 1080p. I'm just double checking my settings here. Yeah, 1080p. It doesn't seem to like the camera. All right, so that's live. So that, at least one of them works. The webcam is not working. If I plug this in, I don't know, maybe it doesn't get enough power to this camera, I'm not sure. So the USB came up for a second. Here, check it out. So I'll plug it back in again, watch. So you'll see it come up for a second and then it disappears. See the USB and then boom, disappears. And that HDMI is just spinning its wheels. So I'm going to turn this off and turn it back on again and just see if that might have something, give us a better outcome here. And maybe what I'll do is reboot this. So at least one camera is working. And then I can select the resolution. Yeah, it's just spinning its wheels. All right, so why don't we do a reboot and see if that might fix things. Not off to a good start here. All right, seeing a lot of chats on here. And TreyPop finds it really interesting when these things use a Android as the yeah, I think that's interesting too. But you know, I would imagine that adds some overhead that maybe like a custom Linux would not. I don't know. But let's open this up again and see what's going on here. So now it's going to be processing both of these things. Okay, so we got this one on, but the other one is still spinning. So it just does not appear to like the HDMI output out of this one. I wonder if maybe there's a cable length issue here. I used to have this issue with cable length on the original ATEM television studio. And we also found that the Elgato face cam is not working. So we're going to move the Elgato face cam out of rotation here, which is a shame because this is a great webcam for this kind of stuff, and it doesn't seem to work with it. So let's go grab, I got in one from HP the other day to review. Just got to find it. And that one might work better. So let me just track it down here real quick. And believe me, I've got more cameras than I know what to do with. So we can slide in a different camera and see if maybe that one of those will fare better. Yeah, I've got this one. This is one of my older studio cameras, but a little more consumer-y than the other one. So maybe we'll try this one real quick. So I want to at least get two HDMI sources going here. So we're gonna swap out the fancier Canon for the less fancy one. Uses the same power adapter, so that makes it easy. And let's see if this one fares better. So I'm going to switch it on. Now this camera often outputs in, actually I know outputs in 1080i. All right, so that one worked. So it looks like for whatever reason it doesn't like, it's a shame because this is like a fancier studio camera. So I'm going to need to ask them about that because that should be something that works right out of the gate. All right, so what I'm going to do here, so now we've got two, so I can switch between these two sources here. And let's go grab another webcam. But before I do, I need to put my tripod plate on here because I wanted to figure out how the chroma key stuff would work on it. So we're going to get my little Allen wrench out here and get this camera plate out. And I got this tripod. I got one of those, what is this one? This tripod is the, let's look up the type here, the Peak Design Travel Tripod. This is not the, yeah, I'll give you another view of it. It's kind of hard to see, but this is not the carbon fiber one, but it's really nice. It's lightweight, it's aluminum, and it has a phone mount like built into the bottom here. So if you ever want to mount your phone on it, you just pull this little thing out of the bottom, and you can mount your phone to it. I never buy anything that I see advertised on Facebook. This was the exception because like, well, this tripod might actually be useful. The only thing I don't like about it is that they require you to use this Allen wrench for the plate, the little plate that I'm putting on. And it's one of those things that I know is going to get lost. And it fits into this little tool belt thing they've got on it, which I know is going, you know what I mean? It's like one of those things you just know is going to disappear at some point. So I always worry about that. But I'm going to position this camera in such a way that I can use it with my Elgato green screen in a little bit. So we can test out the chroma key function that this apparently supports. All right, so we got the tripod, whoops, tripod mounted. I really need to clean this place up. I've been so busy, I always say this, but I've been so busy that I haven't had a lot of time to get everything cleaned up here, as usual. Okay, well, that's going to be good enough. Okay, so we have a camera now on a tripod. Oops, uh-oh, what did I just pull out? Something just got disconnected, and I don't know what it was. But the camera's still on, the stream is still going, so I think we're okay. All right. So, we are already finding some incompatibilities, but we've got now 2 cameras. Now, what I'm also going to do is bring this over into my production video system. So we're going to get to that next. And I'm just going to grab the webcam that I have plugged into my computer rather than search for the other one that it's killing me because I just got in this other one. Here it is. Let's try this one. Okay, so this is like a generic HP webcam. So let's see if this one will work. So I really want to get every input that we can possibly get going on this thing so that we have it. So let's go and plug that in to the USB port on here. Let's make sure I get the right angle there. Okay, so like that. Okay. All right, so that's connected. And let's see if the USB pops up here now. Oh, okay, that one works. So it's interesting that it's a little selective in the kinds of cameras it works with, right? Because we found that it did not like the Elgato face cam, but it likes this little guy. And we also found that it didn't like the fancier Canon camcorder, but it likes the one that I have on me right now. And if I switch to that, it's pretty good. Okay, so that's working. And then we're going to add, it's got a little cooling fan in here that I can hear running too. All right, so, and I'm missing a bunch of chats here, so I apologize. And Brendan likes the Apple IIGS. I like it too. That thing still works. We're going to do a live stream where I get it going again. When I reviewed it years ago, my power supply blew one of its capacitors. It's this interference capacitor that blew on it. And I haven't replaced it because I am not very good at doing soldering. So one of these days, we're going to get Bob from Retro RGB to come and visit, and he's going to fix it because he knows how to do that stuff. All right, so now we're going to hook up my Nintendo Switch. So I just want to load up every possible input we can get into this thing and kind of build out a multi-camera scenario. So let's plug that into here. And we're going to plug in an HDMI into the other thing. And I'm also going to run the output to my vMix system, because my intent here is to like stress test this thing. Can it support all the things or just some of the things? So that is what we're going to investigate right now. So let's plug in HDMI in. Are we out of, oh, we got one more here. So let's plug it in over here. And then we'll just turn on the switch and make sure that the switch comes on. And let's see. Oh, it's got to boot up. You know why? Because my children did not redock it and the battery died. And then they wonder, Daddy, why is the switch dead when I want to use it? Because you didn't charge it. You got to put it back where you found it. I'm beginning to sound like my parents, because I was the kid that never put anything back where I found it. I still am not. If you were to look through my studio here, you would see a very similar outcome. All right, so I'm going to attach this now to my production system so we can actually get the output live. Okay. So now I have hit that. Now I'm getting audio out of it, but no program. So right now it's outputting just a blank screen, but I have audio coming, or I had audio coming in. So maybe I have to instruct it to do something like that. Oh, it just turned off. I think I just crashed it. Yep, oh, there it goes. It came back on. Okay, that was weird. All right, so this does not appear to be. So I'm getting audio. So if I hit go live, what happens? Overlays, audio mixer. So I can bring in audio from any one of these sources here. There's a scoreboard display that you can pull up here. Okay, so you can move that around. It has support for commenting, which we'll get into. Oh, program out, USB-C out, video output mode, HDMI out. Yeah, that's what I have. Encoding setting. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here. So presumably this should be, because I'm getting audio, this should be what is coming out the back, but it is not giving me anything on my system here. So let me take a look at, oops, sorry, I got bad words up on the screen here. I got to take these off before I get in trouble on Amazon here. All right, so let's go and pull up my Blackmagic diagnostic tool so that I can see what it is seeing on port number 4. So it's not getting any video input. Yeah, so the other ones are getting video. It's not actually outputting any video right now. And that's why it's not showing up here. I am getting the audio. Interesting. Okay. USB-C. Oops, let me go back to this thing so we can figure it out. Yeah, so, you know, it's... I just want to get the video output here, right? And I'm not getting that. So let me boot the switch up here. Unless maybe I got to hit the button to get it to output. I'm just going to say OK and see what happens. OK, so please select the live streaming platform before going live. Oh, program out. There we go. OK, so that should do it. Program out. Does that output? It does not. But let me recycle the USB. And let's see what happens here. HDMI out. So let's cycle that. So it seems to, oh, so that was interesting. Did you see what happened there? It kind of blanked out its display. So now I have that. But I want the program, not this. So, okay, so if I switch this on, okay, there we go. So now I have program out. And let me switch to my better camera. So we're going to go to HDMI 3, which is my best camera that I've got. And here's a problem. Look at this. See that? It's dropping frames. It's like a lot. So that is not encouraging. So if you were to plug this into an encoder, you'd have some problems. Let's go over to the Huddle Cam. This is HDMI 2. It's a little smoother. Maybe? It feels a little smoother, but I'm not sure. Yeah, so program out is working now. Okay, so my suspicion is that HDMI 3 is not working well because this is 1080i, I think, coming out of that HDMI, so it's dropping frames as opposed to blending it or whatever. Here's the USB camera. It still doesn't feel totally smooth to me. I'm just looking through here. This one seems okay. This is like my true 1080p source. The big test will be when we get the switch booted up here. So let's see what happens there. And there's my controller. All right, so we'll get the switch booted up. And it is finding sources as they come online, so that's good. And we'll go into, I'm just going to try to, you know what I'm going to load up, let's do this one. Something with a lot of motion. So we're going to download okay. Yeah, so we got to figure out why it doesn't like my other camera, because that 1080i is really, it's really jumpy as I move. See that? And I don't think it's the fault of this. I think it's the fact that we've got a 1080i signal. So I'm going to go back to the other camera real quick. It's definitely getting warm here. And let's do something else here too. Let's grab some, oh, I didn't put the SD card in yet. All right, so let's do that too. Okay, so let's pop the SD card in. So I've got an SD card here, which has video on it. Oops. Doesn't seem to go in very snugly here. Did I put it in the wrong way? It goes the other way. Okay, so let's put the SD card in. All right, so we do have 4 sources. SD card video 1. Okay, it found the card and recognized it, but it's not giving me any video. No SD card found. Didn't it say it just found one a second ago? All right, so but we can do then a side-by-side view. So let's do the switch, and we'll do the huddle cam here. Let's start with this one next. And this. All right. Yeah. Okay, so now I've got a 2-up, and the background is transparent. So presumably I could put in, yeah, it doesn't find anything on this SD card. I wonder if it's the format of the card that it doesn't like. Hang on a second. All right, so I'm going to get my Sony camera out and see if that one will work better. Because the issue is that we need something that can output a straight up, let me do the Canon again. There's no reason why this camera shouldn't work, so maybe it doesn't like the HDMI cable. Because this Canon will do a progressive output. And that's what we want. So I'm going to go find another camera here. Or another cable. I'm running out of cameras. That's my problem. All right, this one is not going to work. That one will. All right, here's a shorter cable. This one maybe might be shorter. But I'll tell you, I'm not too bullish here just yet, because I'm feeling like some things work and some things don't. And it's not like there's any real difference between them. Maybe that Elgato camera is outputting 1080p 60, maybe. That could be why, I don't know. But so is the Switch, and the Switch is working, so I'm not sure. All right. So we're going to get a Switch game running. So this is, at least it should be, yeah, Virtual Racer, which has like a great demo mode that'll just kind of loop. So we'll have some fast motion video to look at. And what I'm going to do here is unplug. I'll get to some of your chat questions in a minute here. I'm going to unplug this cable, because it is a longer cable. So sometimes that can be, with these HDMI devices, can be a little tricky. So that's the cable there. So that's going to be input number 3. Yes. So we're going to pull out number 3. And then we're going to replace it with this one. Okay. All right, so now this one is coming up, hopefully. Get the lens cover off. Because this camera does a 1080p progressive output. But you see, it just doesn't like it. Okay. All right, so what are you guys saying? Check SD card video 2? All right, let's try that. So add video source, SD card video 2, no SD card found. Please choose one local video, but it doesn't give me the option to pick any. Let's try another one here. SD card video 1. Now if I take the card out and put it back in again, will that recognize the card? Let's see. I'm going to have to write to these people because this thing is like, I mean, everything I'm plugging into it just is not working. Yes, it's not recognizing it. So my guess is that this card, because it is SDXC, I think it might be formatted for exFAT, which maybe it doesn't read. That could be what it is. I don't know. I'm not sure. All right, so that's going to have to be investigated. The next thing is this camera. Why is this not working? So we're running at 1080p 29.97. Let me go to 60 and see if that changes the dynamic here. You know what it could be? Ah, that's what it is. Okay, so all right. So this will not take so it outputs at 30p, my understanding, but it will not take a 30p input off of HDMI. And I have found this to be an issue sometimes with some lower priced input devices, that it just doesn't recognize a 30p source. So once we change this to 60p, that seems to have worked. And Kevin says, yeah, it'd be a lot cooler if we'd tell you which format or whatever. Yeah, so this is becoming a bit of a problem. Okay, so let's regroup, and let me go and pull up this input now and just see how this looks. And I want to do one other thing here. I have too many things going on at once, so I'm just trying to figure out how to get all my stuff to work the way I want it to. All right, single play. Okay, good. It has an attract mode. Perfect. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you what it's outputting. Okay, so here we've got, and that looks okay, right? I think. This version of this game is a little washed out versus the one you remember. Like they changed some of the color on it. Although the shadow looks kind of weird, doesn't it? All right, so that is that one. And now let's look at HDMI 3. You know, it's still not good. Because it's, well, you know what it is that it's converting to, so what I need to do is figure out how to get this to output at 30p. Video output mode. Yeah, it just gives you the HDMI or the display port. Oh, it's actually at 25 frames per second now. All right. But does that mean that's what's it? I guess that's not what it's putting out, the HDMI. Gosh, this is so confusing. Because the problem here, I got to write all these things down. The problem here, I'm just thinking out loud. Yeah, so this is what it is. So Patrick, thank you. So it looks like we have to get a FAT32 card in there, which is okay, right? But you know, if you have an exFAT card that you're pulling out of a camera, it's going to be exFAT with, because like this Canon camera here will record onto MP4 files, so you could presumably pull the card out and just pop it right in. So I do have cards that are formatted for FAT32, one of my older ones in the repertoire. So let me go find one of those real quick. And we'll repeat the process of loading some video on them. At least I did have one around here. Let's see. So I need to find one of those cards. Here's a whole bunch of them. So this one is SDXC. This one's a 6. This one's beat to you know what. Here's an 8 gig card. This one might work. So this is an older card. I don't know if it has any video on it or not. So let's go pull that up real quick and pop that in. Okay. There we go. All right, so let's see what's on this card. I may actually have video on this card already. Now, this card is FAT32, and I've got a bunch of, looks like a bunch of ROMs on it, but it doesn't matter because we can just add a few more files to it. So I'm going to go pull down a couple of video files that we had on there before. So I was under the impression that you could actually do like a customization of this, but it doesn't look like it. And because we have the side-by-side in use now, you can't add another one. Okay, and then we can do a 2x2 here. So you have a little bit of flexibility there, but that's pretty much it. All right, so we got the split view added. And the next thing I'm going to do is look at some overlays. So it has a scoreboard feature, but not like a lower third kind of thing. Oh, I guess it does have that. Okay, lower thirds. There we go. I see. So you can choose it from a list here of, and you can go to yololive.com maybe? I don't know. Okay. I'm going to have to dig into this a little bit more, but if I push that, does it put it on the screen? Oh. I don't know. Okay. So let's go back to the... Oh, wait, did I fill up all the things I can do now? Let's see. All right, so the way this titling works is as follows. Here, I'll put this up. So if I tap on it, you'll get the title up there. I can take it out. But, and that's the chroma key setting. But I can't see. Oh, I see. So I can trash one of these things. So I guess there's 6 things that is all you can do at once. So if I wanted to add another item, I have to get rid of one. All right, so now I've got the SD card, and we're going to load some video on. I apologize for just like being a stream of consciousness today, everybody. But when I'm trying to figure something out, it becomes a journey for me. And sometimes things like work awesome, like right out of the gate, and other times it's like a whole big production, which is what this appears to be becoming here. So we're going to copy some files to this card. I have not written anything to this card in 5 years, so we'll see, see if the card still works. It looks like it is. And you can see the split screen here. I don't know if it has any kind of fancy transitions that it can do. Let's see. No, it just goes hard switch there. But it looks like we got the frame rate issues kind of resolved. You know, it's a straight up division thing. So this game is running at 60p on the Switch. And I suspect that because it's chopping the frame rate in half, that it's making the shadows look weird on that. I'm not sure. Okay, the file's almost done copying. This is an older card, so it takes a while. Yeah, I think, Ben, at the moment, and again, I've got to do more with this before I pass final judgment on it. You know, it's neat in that it can do everything on device in ways that the ATEM Mini, at least the entry-level one, can't do. But if you were to go with the ATEM Mini that costs the same as this one, even though the interface is horrible, it can do a lot of what we're setting up here on device also. Right? So you don't have the screen built in. I mean, there's things you have to schlep around with you, but there's definitely some redeemable value there. All right, so let me eject the card here. But it looks as though we've gotten a lot of the tricky stuff figured out. I'm going to make a list of questions for them. So the first one is 1080p 30 HDMI doesn't seem to work. Second item that I was curious about is how to regulate outbound HDMI FPS. And I guess if you're using this thing as it's intended, which is that you're going to stream directly out from it, then it's probably not as critical. Well, let's put this card. I'm trying to remember which way the card goes in. It goes in this way. So we're going to put the card in. Now this is a FAT32 card. And now if I add a video source, okay, we're making progress because now we got a blank screen where before we had one that wasn't blank. Okay, there we go. So I found some video. So I'm going to add that. Oh, I see. Okay, so we can have, you pick the video that you want. At least I thought I did. Let's try that again. So you can have 2 videos assigned, 1 to each position. That's why it has 2. So now we have this in here. And if I hit this, that will play the video. Let me put this audio on real quick. I'm going to turn down. I'm just curious as to how it sounds. So this is deck link input 4. I'm just going to turn it down so I don't blow your eardrums out. Baseball cards were printed on. But this book, which is really neat, and they have an edition for each of the movies that had trading cards. This book has all of the cards. Isn't this cool? This is playing off of the SD card right now. I've got a lot of these in a box somewhere. It looks like it's playing back okay. And so what they did is they just kind of, and if I can do the overlay here, so it doesn't seem to interrupt that. That's pretty much all there is to it. But it's cool if you had, and look, here's the wax packs that you would get. So that seems to work. Different varieties of the one. But again, I got to delete this to add another one, right? So I have to go into the interface here, delete that, and then I can add the other one, or I can get rid of this side by side. So we do have 4 live sources going through here at the moment. So we have my Huddle Cam. I'll show you everything we got. So we have this camera at 60p now. That's working. We have the Huddle Cam. We have the webcam. And we have the switch that's currently It's blank because it's outputting to the display on here. So it's a little tricky to like go, I guess it won't interrupt the stream, but you have to jump through menus to like very quickly switch things around on it, is what it seems like. Here's a question from the Nerd Circle. Not sure if already tried, but will it allow you to, say, plug in an NVIDIA Shield and show it on screen? Yes. So you could do that. Anything that outputs HDMI, you could do. So presumably in this instance, because we have the switch on here, that's kind of working that way. So I could easily cut to it. The question is, could we... I guess you could do a picture-in-picture. So let's try that. So let's replicate, because I'm going to put this camera back on the tripod in a second. So we're going to say camera 3 is the main one, and then the subscreen will be that one. There's definitely like a delay when you hit the button. There, oops, there, oops. Okay, so now I can move this around. I can scale it. Can I adjust? Okay, I can make a different aspect ratio if you want to do that. If I change the aspect ratio, does it squeeze it? Or does it cut it? Looks like it cuts it. 4:3. Oh, it looks like it's like rescaling it. Yeah, so it's a bit limiting. Now I can hit this, and that'll give you the picture-in-picture. So let's see how that performs. So if I move my hands around here, let's move, I'll take my pen out here and just kind of move this around while we're doing all these things. Yeah, so it gives you like some basic ability to do some basic kinds of things. I think you would get more flexibility out of a PC. So I don't know what you, let's make sure everybody understands me properly here. So it will not work on the Shield, but the Shield can work on it. So if you were to plug the NVIDIA Shield into this, you could take its output and capture it essentially and do this with it. Oh, right, the DMCA stuff. Yeah, I don't know. That's okay. I wasn't sure what you were asking. I would have to try that to see if it would allow for that. I would venture to say that it probably would, but we'll find out. All right, so the next thing I want to do is I want to put this camera back up on the tripod because I want to try the green screen functionality. So let's do that real quick. And then I've got some questions for them because I still don't have a good feel for, I guess I need to understand what their vision is as insofar as how people would use this device. Like what's the target market, if you will. So I'm going to just undo this camera and plug the other one in. Okay. Oh, just drops. Nothing broke. It sounded worse than it did. But we will try the chroma key now and see where it goes. Yeah, so I'll have to test out the streaming capacity of this. I'm not sold on this being better than the ATEM. I would say it's different, maybe easier for a novice to pick up, and that might have some value because the ATEMs can be extremely complex for people that are first getting into this. Their interface is really kind of mirroring that of how TV production gear has always worked. And I can see how that is a point of confusion for people. But I would say at its price point, I was expecting it to do a little bit more than what I'm seeing out of it at the moment. But we'll keep our minds open here. So now we're going to extend I think it's it's so cool to have this thing. I have this green screen that I can just pop up anytime I want. So we're gonna put that up here. Ta-da! And I've got a bad angle on, I got a good one now. Okay, HDMI 3 is this one. So let me show you what this looks like out of this Canon camera. So this is that, and it's not framed properly, but get more of the green screen there. I mean, ideally it will let you, it'll let you crop. So let's see, and I'll show you this on the overhead. The Nerd Circle. Yeah, I'm going to be looking at, they have another one too, so I'm kind of just looking at the line right now. But yeah, I will have a video about this product line soon. So I do have both of them. And it's been on the to-do list for a while. All right, so we're going to hit this button. And we're going to turn on the keying switch. Well, that came out pretty good. And then I can select a background image. Oh, but this is, okay, so I can't put another video source behind me. So I've got to find an image that I have already. And the other thing it looks like is I can't, so the key is pretty clean from what I can see. So if I turn it off here, you can see that it's pretty clean. But one of the things that I look for is the ability to crop out the parts that don't have the green in them, which this does not have. So let me go back in and edit that. Okay, so it looks like you can only put an image behind you. And it doesn't appear to be charging the battery either, even though we're plugged in at the moment. Yeah, we are plugged in. Okay, so where do you add those images from? All right, let me show you what this looks like so you can get a feel for at least what it's able to key out. So that's the key. So it looks okay from a keying perspective, but I'm not sure how I can put, so what I really would like to do is have another HDMI source be in the background, right? So let me get rid of this one. And let's see if we can add that. Yeah, it doesn't look like I can add that. You can do side by side and yada, 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 but not, like I can't do a compositing thing like I would do in OBS. So to use picture-in-picture settings, okay, let's try that. So PIP video, so I'll select that one. The good thing is that it's carrying the key over with it, so that's good. Yeah, it's not, it's just putting one on top of the other. Let's reverse it and see if it can do it the other way. So let's do picture-in-picture. So I will select this as the main screen and this as the sub-screen. Okay, that works. Okay. So I guess what we need then is a cropping feature. So I could scale this up a bit, and if I move, see, I could do something like that. All right, so let's move that over. And we'll take that live, and there you go. So, I mean, the key is not bad, as you can see. But I can't crop out. So usually what I do on my vMix system is I can crop this out. So I'll give you a perfect example of this, because I can do this actually on vMix right now. So let me go into my setting here, and I'll show you how this would work on my vMix system. So I'll go to color key, I'll grab my chroma key here, turn that on, and I just got to make some little adjustments here to get it set. And then what I can do is go and crop out the edges here on vMix. So when I crop the X's out, and then let's go over to that source, and then if I hit 1 here, right? So that's how you crop it out. And if I put my arms out here, you can see my arms disappear, right? But on here, when we have the same, oop, that's kind of freaky. There's too many Lons here. You see now it's got all my arms and the part of the green screen that's behind me, right? So it needs like a cropping feature in order to make this work better, I think. Let me reset all this stuff. So I think that's what we need on that front. So I'm going to ask them about that also. Because that's something, you know, I think a lot of my complaints are nitpicky. But one of the big things that streamers use are things like the Elgato green screen there. And see what happens. So we'll keep messing around with this a little bit more. But it looks pretty cool. Yeah, I got to dig into it a little bit more and get a better feel for it. But we'll figure it out. Alonzo JT says I should be looking at one of the millions of reviews on Yolobox before testing it. Well, I'm not doing a review right now. I am doing my evaluation. This is how I review every product here on the channel. We live stream it as I figure it out. But I'm seeing things here, like in particular, the inability to crop a chroma key is something that I am seeing that needs work. And we got Chinese in the scoreboard here. At least you can change the text on that. But we'll figure it out. We'll get it all figured out. Ben Meyer wants to know, am I hearing the fan? I am hearing the fan, yes. It's not very loud, so that's good. For whatever reason, I have it plugged into power and it's not charging. And it didn't come with a power adapter in the box either, so you have to provide your own. But yeah, it's just not recognizing the charging cable I have here. Let me try a different one. So I don't know. I mean, I want to look at their other one, which I did start playing with, but it was early days on the firmware that wasn't that great, and see if that does a little better. That's not charging either. So let's grab another cable. Yeah, I'm using their charging cable now, I believe. Let me try a different USB power adapter here. Doesn't fit in there. Yeah, it's not fitting properly. Get a different cable. I think this port is broken on this thing. Because it is, yeah. Maybe not, let's see. I think the port got pushed in because the cable is not going in and staying. Try this one. This is the one that it came with. Let's see if this one does better. Okay, so you know what it is? It's a little bit longer. That's what the problem is. All right. So it's plugged in now to power, but it's not charging. Let's try a different power adapter. Yep, not charging. So that we're going to have to explore also. Yeah, so I have it plugged into my Apple charger, and that didn't charge it, so I've switched to just another USB-C fast charging charger that I have. And if you look here also, the cable that it came with, now it's about the same length. For whatever reason, like the other cables weren't seating properly, but I've tried 2 different chargers now, and it's still, this is the power one. Unless it, I mean, you would think it would switch to a charging indicator, which it is not doing. And so it doesn't come with a charger, so you're kind of like looking for one. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not getting anything. So we can keep working until this thing drops out on us. All right. So William's wondering, does this have a USB-C or USB-A for iPhone or Samsung? Can you use the system to back up your phones or laptops? So I don't believe so. I think you can hook up anything that outputs as a webcam will get picked up. So for example, we've got my little USB camera here, and that is getting detected, as you can see. And it's coming in at full frame rate, so that, I mean, it's doing the basics here as I would expect them to. But a couple of, I'm just keeping my list of things that I have to ask them about. So 1080p 30, HDMI in doesn't seem to work. So the question then is, what's the output? So let me check my Blackmagic, because there doesn't seem to be any, okay, so it is outputting 60p. So HDMI output, always set to 60p. And we need to know how to crop chroma key. That's the other thing we need to look at. And Ben says that the FAQ says it works with all storage formats. Yeah, it did not find any video on that exFAT formatted card. I'm pretty sure the SDXC cards are exFAT formatted these days. If they are not by default, my camera requires it, because the Canon camera that is pointed at me right now it needs exFAT in order to make a file longer than 2 gigabytes. So we should figure it out. But yeah, this is not charging no matter what I plug into it. I can go try to track down another charging cable, but I was surprised for that money they wouldn't include a power adapter in the box. So we'll keep looking at that. I would like to see also like some custom overlays. And are we limited to 6 only? So let me try something else here, because I'm curious now. What if we just kept the HDMI? So I'm going to get rid of the USB camera. Just want to see how many of these compositing things we can load up. And we're going to get rid of, so we got that. And I'm going to keep HDMI 3, which is this camera. I'm going to get rid of the Huddle Cam also for now. And we're going to keep my picture-in-picture video. And I'm going to add, I want to see if I can add all 3 of these things. I want to do a split view. So I'll do this, actually do this, and this. So you can do a little bit of that kind of stuff, right? Okay, that works. Done. Okay, so now I've got, okay, so we can add up to 6, but I can't have like multiples of the same thing. So if I do this and this, I can do that. But I can't add, can I do another split view? Let's see. Yeah, so I've already added that screen mode. So you can't have like more than one of the other, is what they're telling me there. But I can bring in another live stream. So that's kind of neat. Okay. So Greg Evans is wondering what kind of, yeah, so I have a quick charging USB-C quick charger thing here. This is a fast charging power adapter. It does 5 volts at 3 amps, 9 volts at 3, 12 at 3, 15 at 3, and 20 volts at 3 1/4. So I have that, and then I have my Apple, 89 watt, whatever it is. So I've got that one. And that's not working either. So either one of those that I've plugged into so far has not started charging this thing. And I'm plugging it in to the right one because there's a Type-C connector, but there's another one labeled, charging, and that doesn't charge it. If I plug it into the other one, that doesn't charge it either. And the connector is kind of set back a little bit, so their cable obviously fits, but the other one doesn't. Let's try one more combination here and see if this does it better. Yeah, it's just not charging. But it does keep these like templates here. So you could have something set up for one type of stream and then have another one set for something else. Although it forgot all the settings. Wait a minute. I don't know if you're supposed to proactively save things, but it didn't save any of the video things that I had going on there. Yeah, I got a lot of questions for them. So we'll figure this out here. So let me type in my next question. Does it retain between sessions? Okay, so if I do a picture-in-picture video here, so we'll do my, so all that chroma key stuff we set up is gone. So let's redo the chroma key. Okay, so that is done. And I don't know if I have to proactively save these settings or not. And then it lost the second HDMI. I think we unplugged it maybe. No, the HDMI is still connected. Oh, I unplugged the camera, that's why. Okay. All right, so if I go back, yeah, it forgets the setting. So it just basically brings in all the inputs that it has, and then it doesn't seem to save them. Now we do have some settings that we can do here. So you have like directional wipes that will work instead of, so it'll do like a little cool little cross dissolve. So that's kind of neat. Here, I'll show you what that looks like. Oh, actually, you know what else it forgot? It also, so like all the settings that we set up, it forgot all of them. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to ask them about that because now it's gone back to that thing where we got to go back in here and then turn on program out again. There we go. So now that's back. But if I leave this, okay, so now let's say we're done. Had a great stream, everybody. We're back to where we were. And then if I jump back in, it goes back to that. So it like forgets all your settings. Okay. And Lewis is saying, is this on Android? Yeah, so it is running Android. And that's the underlying operating system. It feels like a pretty decently built device. It just feels like so Ben Meyer says, I'm just losing there's so much going through on the chat here. It needs a quick charging 2.0 protocol charger, which is not included. So that's why it's not charging. So I need to make a note on that also. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I'm sure people who use this like it, but for this price, it feels like the software is still not fully baked, at least for the things that I'd be looking for. You know, if I'm on the ATEM, my settings are saved. Not the case here. So I have to rebuild everything after. So my assumption as a user is that if I go through because it saved the overlay here, if I go through the process of setting up a chroma key and setting up split screens and stuff, I would expect those to be retained, or at least before I back out to say, hey, do you want to save it before you're done? Now, what if I turn some, I don't have live streaming on right now either. And I can duplicate this, but like it just forgets everything. And it will not support 60p. So it takes 60 in, it outputs 60 on the HDMI. I'm not knocking things here. I'm just making notes of what the limitations are. But if I set something, my assumption is that it should follow that setting when I leave it. Yeah. Oh boy. Okay. Well, I was expecting a little more out of this. I need to get in touch with them and get some of these questions answered and see if maybe they have firmware that's coming through. I had received one of these a while ago, and I put it off because the software didn't feel that complete to me. And I think that was about a year ago, but it's still feeling a little off here. And it's one of those things where I'm not crazy about the interface on the ATEM Extreme, but for less money, the ATEM Extreme will do a lot of what you saw here, if not most of it, with 8 inputs. It's also limited in many ways. So I don't want to say that it's better, because it isn't. It's different, but yeah, we'll see. I think if they had something lower cost, even if it had less inputs, that might be a better option, but yeah. So we will come back to this. At least the batteries held up, because we've been streaming now for about an hour. And yeah, so that is where it's at. So I'm going to, I got my list of questions for them, so I'm going to go send them all these questions. And we will come back to this. And I'm assuming that they will have answers for some of it. And they don't give you much in the way of documentation. I guess there must be more, because I went on their website before I started to see if there was like a step-by-step, but there isn't much here. This is like what you get in the thing here. And it doesn't even tell you, what kind of power adapter to get. So the rated USB output, so it's less than 18 watts of power. The battery capacity is 10,000 milliamp hours. Rated voltage, 5 volts, 3. Yeah, so that charger that I have should be enough. I'm going to try one thing real quick before we go. I just shut it down. I'm going to turn it on with the power on, and maybe it needs to have it on at boot. Because this charger I have supports all of the modes that are listed in the specifications, but honestly, for $1,200, if it's going to require a special power adapter that is not like standard USB-C, that should be something that comes in the box if it's not going to be standard. And I know Quick Charge is a standard, but let's see here. Greg wants to know, does the ATEM pick WRT cameras? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Yep, so it's still not charging. I've got it plugged in, but we're still... Yeah, and it just defaults to whatever's plugged into it. So, okay. Well, we will come back. Come back to this. Yeah, I was hoping to be a little better than this. Especially they've had some time to kind of work through some of these things, but not there. Okay. Well, stay tuned, everybody, because I will be getting answers to my questions. And if I am incorrect, I will certainly point that out in my review. If it's not ready for prime time yet, I'm probably not going to spend time reviewing something like, I tend not to if something's really awful or just isn't there. It's just not worth my time if there's nothing redeeming. And I would say that there's a lot of redeeming value to this, but if someone came up to me right now and said, I'm looking at the ATEM Extreme or this, the ATEM Extreme is what I would recommend, just based on what I've seen so far. And David Parker says, am I using a USB-C? No, I'm using the included USB-C to USB-C cable because its power requirements are going to be more, I think, than what you could get over. We'll try that real quick. I'll just plug in, I have a 2-amp USB charger here, and what I can do is borrow the USB cable, one of the 12 million cables on my desk that I had out already. Where did it go? So I had my really good Anchor cable that is the most compatible cable ever, at least for USB charging. Where did it go? But it doesn't support USB PD, which is what you'd want typically. All right, so what did I do with my fancy Anchor cable? Give me a second here, folks. We will find that cable. Maybe we can just get plain old USB to charge it. I don't know if that's going to be enough, though, from a power budget perspective. So maybe that's a question. If they use a 2-amp, would it be enough to keep it charged? And give me a second. Let me see if I can find that other. If I can just use this one. Yeah, this one will work. So I've got my iPad tablet charger in there. It doesn't even go in well. It doesn't snap in. This is the cable that it comes with. Now I just plugged the cable in. I didn't hit the power button. So that's charging it. But all of the USB-C power adapters I just tried did not. So the question then is, does a 2-amp charger is it enough to charge it or operate it without having to rely on the battery? So that would be another question for them. Okay. Yeah, so they're using the QC2 standard. So I might have one somewhere, but I don't believe I do. Actually, let me look and see what this one is. This one is a USB PD. Yeah, so this is a USB PD charger, which does all of the same voltage, but apparently isn't compatible. So it does 5 volts, 3 amps, 9 volts, 3 amps, 12 volts, 3 amps, 15 volts, 3 amps, and 20 volts, 3.25 amps. But apparently not anything that this thing supports. So, all right. Yep. So, sometimes things need a little bit more work, and that is where this thing is. The good news is that all of my complaints are mostly software related, so that's stuff that I think they can fix. So it's not like there's, beyond the power charging problem, it's not like they have like a completely unworkable situation there. Okay, well everybody, I am going to head out for now. I'm going to take the dog for a walk. It's a beautiful afternoon. I've got to get tomorrow's video up and running, so I'm going to go get that uploaded. And there you go. I was actually ahead of the game this week, so it was one of those weeks where I wasn't like feeling like I was behind the 8 ball. And so I might actually clean up this disaster of a workspace that I'm in at the moment, because I've made it even worse now than it was when I started. So there we go. Okay, so that is the Yolobox Pro, and we will need to come back to it. Okay. Hope you all had a wonderful afternoon and a great week. Looking forward to the weekend, and we will be back before you know it. Bye-bye.